Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Curse of the Collector. It's our holiday episode. Hope everybody's doing well. Let me introduce the crew. As always, we got live from his basement, Mr. Jamie Laszlo, all the
Yes.
way from Austin, Texas, Mr. Scott Berry, and from someplace that looks really snowy and cold, Mr. Davey Gallagher. I was told to introduce Davey at a certain place, and already 5 minutes later, I've forgotten what
Well,
it
it
is.
was only a parody of Scott's introduction. Don't worry. That's inside baseball.
From Chile, Scotland, he is here with us today. So thanks for watching, everybody. Rick Labonte is in Aruba having a grand old time, so he's not with us today, but we'll catch him next month. But Rick says,
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right? He's off having a great. He's there for quite a while.
The jails down there can be quite, so he might not be back for 20 years.
You never know. You never know. He is alive though, because I did get a text from him yesterday, so he is doing okay for now. So we thought we'd have a fun, quick little episode for you, just to kind of celebrate the holidays. Everybody loves their own holiday music, right? Everybody has their holiday favorites, and so what we discussed was that it would be kind of fun for all of us to pick out our two favorite go-to holiday albums that we listen to every year without fail. Some of these may be new favorites. Some of these we may have been listening to for as long as we've been on this earth. Well, that's what will be revealed here in the upcoming minutes. So with all that being said, Scott, I'm going to have you kick. We'll go Scott, Davey, Jamie, and myself, 1 round, 2 rounds, and then I'll list Rick's picks as well. So Scott, what's your number or your first Christmas favorite of the day?
All right. This is a Christmas album that I've been listening to for literally my entire life. It is a soundtrack to an animated Christmas special that first aired in December of 1965, just mere weeks before I came into the world. I'm talking about Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Performed by the Vince Guaraldi Trio.
Yes.
And released for Christmas of 1965. Gun to my head, or even if it wasn't, this has got to be pound for pound my favorite and most frequently played Christmas album. Not only is it great festive Christmas music, but I also have to give it props for starting my love of jazz, which continues to this day. Peanuts music equals jazz. And I don't meet a whole lot of people that dislike this music. You'd be hard pressed to find a Gen Xer that didn't watch the Peanuts specials growing up. And not only did we watch them as kids, but we watched them with our own kids. And that music is instantly recognizable and iconic to multiple generations. I never tire of hearing it. Track listing on here, you got O Tenenbaum, What Child Is This, My Little Drum, which is kind of my little drummer boy, Linus and Lucy, which is the familiar Peanuts theme that you hear throughout. Christmas Time Is Here, instrumental. Christmas Time Is Here, a vocal version. Skating. That's the one that plays when the snow is falling at the beginning of the thing and they're like catching the snowflakes on their tongue. Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Christmas Is Coming. Furelise, that's the Beethoven piece that Schroeder always plays. Christmas Song, and Greensleeves. I don't think you can beat this as far as Christmas albums go, at least for me. Love it.
Fun fact, Scott, I have always loved that. Do you know that I only just bought that for the first time ever, like 3 years ago?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
I always loved it. And then just out of the blue one day, I was like, why don't I own that?
I was the same way.
What's that?
I just got it like 3 or 4 years ago too.
But whether you owned it or not, I bet you had all the music committed to memory. I mean,
of course,
iconic,
yeah,
right?
Course, because you couldn't escape it, right? I mean, it's a part of my youth,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's a regular part of Christmas music in general. And I just was like, I have so many other iconic Christmas albums on CD, and I'm like, why don't I own this? And I'm like, fuck am I waiting for? Like Amazon, click, done, right? So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I don't like? I don't like that they stopped broadcasting it on regular TV, the special.
Same here.
It's like on Apple TV or something, but it's not the same. It was a nice feeling when you knew everybody in the country was watching it at the same time.
on CBS.
Commercials and
Yeah.
all. Now everyone's streaming it at a different time. There's no unity. Oh, there's no unity in this country as it is. So
Just curious, Davey, do they show it over in the UK or?
No, I mean Peanuts we did get, and everybody loves Charlie Brown, but we don't really do Christmas specials like that. We have a lot of Christmas specials, but they don't tend to focus on the season itself so much as that kind of special does. So like the Great
Gotcha.
Pumpkin, Charlie. I mean, we've covered that in the Monsters. Then Halloween is not as long a tradition. Well, it is and it isn't. But it's not celebrated in quite the same way. So a lot of those kind of specials don't translate. But yeah, I mean, all the Charlie Brown stuff came over here. I mean, I love Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown from the '70s and
Oh
stuff
wow,
like
yeah.
that.
Don't see that one
But-
much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much just show the Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas ones nowadays. They used to have a whole bunch of them that they showed, but you don't see those anymore.
Yeah. We grew up with that stuff. I mean, you couldn't.
Absolutely.
That was just Charlie Brown all year long, right? You just never get tired of it.
I do have the Blu-ray, and I believe that soundtrack is on 5.1 on the by itself on the Blu-ray.
And
Yeah,
they've
it's
got
just great
a
music
big deluxe
overall.
box set as well, which not many Christmas albums get a big deluxe box set. You know, the 4 CD complete sessions edition. So that shows you
Oh,
it's
really?
held in high regard as a piece of music, like Scott was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it stands on its own.
Great choice. We're off to a good start. Davey, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to do something different in the second round, so I'm just going to fly through these two. A Christmas Gift for You is the Phil Spector Christmas album, which Zoom doesn't like me showing, but it's originally called. I mean, everyone always says it's a Christmas gift to you from Phil Spector. Mariah Carey's there. Can anybody hear that? It's a car really blasting All I Want for Christmas Is You. That's really weird. A Christmas Gift for You from Phil Spector, but it's actually called A Christmas Gift to You from Phillies Records, which people always forget that part, the Phillies Records part, and add in Phil Spector. It was re-released on Apple in the 70s and charted in the UK really quite high, 10 years after this kind of music. The Wall of Sound approach, because this was recorded in '63, and the cover from the '70s has Phil Spector dressed as Santa Claus with his sunglasses and whatnot. He's probably not the kind of guy you'd want climbing down your chimney, because he'd probably murder a few people. But
Hell no.
he's dead now, so we can just enjoy the music again. And yeah, just like Scott's pick, what perennial favorites? I mean, just for Darlene Love's Christmas Baby, Please Come Home alone, it's one of the greats. When you add on all the others, from the Ronettes, from the Crystals, Bobby Socks and the Blue Jeans. Okay, there's one kind of crap thing at the end where he does a spoken word version of Silent Night, Phil Spector, but that was kind of him self-indulgently putting himself on the record. Then my second pick, which is kind of related to that in terms of influence, that is the favorite album of all time of Brian Wilson, and the Ultimate Beach Boys Christmas would be my next pick. So the Beach Boys have got a strange Christmas discography where they have that classic Christmas album from the mid-60s, and then they have the occasional Christmas song, and there was a whole album that was aborted. This is pretty much everything wrapped up in one place. So if you only get one Beach Boys Christmas, Ultimate Christmas is the one to get. There was a reissue of this that dropped one track for contractual reasons, which is called Christmas Time Is Here Again. It's not the Vince Guaraldi and it's not the Beatles. Christmas Time Is Here. So similar title. What it is though is a remake of Peggy Sue by Buddy Holly, but with Christmas lyrics. Same music. It's quite odd. And if that sounds familiar to any Beach Boys fan, it's the same musical track as the Beach Boys cover of Peggy Sue from the MIU album from the 70s. They recorded a full Christmas album in the 70s that was rejected by the studio. And they said, give us a real Beach Boys album. They did. And then that album flopped anyway, even though it's got some cool stuff on it. But this gives you the full Christmas album, the original, in order, in sequence, starting with Little Saint Nick, probably the most famous original Beach Boys Christmas song. And then it gives you all the weird stuff from the 70s, because they went really weird in the 70s, with some absolutely tremendous stuff. I think probably the best original on here from the non-first album is Dennis Wilson's Morning Christmas. It sounds like one of Dennis Wilson's great ballads that he would have on his solo album, which is Pacific Ocean Blue, which if you're a Beach Boys fan and haven't heard that, then please do. But yeah, there's just tremendous stuff right through it. So the influence of Phil Spector's Christmas album can be felt on quite a lot of this. And then you just get the wonderful harmonies of the Beach Boys, which unparalleled, really, unparalleled. So yeah, obviously a beach band at Christmas is a strange dichotomy to it,
Yeah,
but
right.
they just work. They just work so well, and the earnestness of Brian Wilson just shines through. And even Mike Love, the biggest prick in the universe, can't spoil these recordings. So yeah, so Phil Spector and the Beach Boys, my two go-tos at Christmas.
Those are some great picks.
Yeah, very good.
I need to get
I'm with
both of
Pete
those.
though. I'm in the same boat as Pete. As far as famous albums that I've never heard before, Pet Sounds. I've never heard it all the way through.
I haven't either. Yeah.
I know
Change
you
that.
said that once a while back. I'm like, neither have I.
We've been doing a series with on Grant Arthur's channel, who's been on with Pete a few times now, where we're going through the Beach Boys' entire discography, and it's building up to Pet Sounds, but it's going to take about 20 years because they've got 498 albums. Wow.
Hey, Pete, I was just thinking, yesterday you did that thing with Martin, about, band's Dark Side of the Moon album, the kind of the playing around in
The
the
productions,
studio
yeah. The
to
Pet
the
Sounds
hilt.
probably.
And I thought of that album too, Pet Sounds. I mean, that was kind of the first one that really
There were a
took
lot of people in the
advantage of
comments who
that.
picked that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and when I was kind of doing research, I mean, that is one of those albums that always comes up in those conversations. But me
Right.
really knowing the album, I didn't, I didn't pick it obviously, but a lot of people did in the comments. So yeah.
I always wish they didn't call themselves the Beach Boys because it just sounds like a cheap name. And if these albums are supposed to be so spectacular, the Beach Boys, round, get around. I just think of these simple things on the beach.
It tends to pigeonhole them.
Yeah, it pigeonholes them. Yes.
I don't know. Brian Wilson, even as far back as 65, was on specials with Leonard Bernstein, being called one of the great composers of the 20th century.
Yeah,
So
I
I think
know.
that's always been there. But you're right, to a more casual
Nothing in my
audience
head,
who
though.
aren't watching PBS specials with Leonard Bernstein from the 60s, then probably that could pigeonhole them. There was talk at one point of retitling the band to something else, but the equity of the name was just too much, because at that point they were existing on live shows. So if you put something else on the bill, because if you go to the concerts, you're not well. First of all, you're hearing crap these days because Mike Love's the band leader. But even Brian Wilson, I've seen him do Pet Sounds in its entirety and Smile in its entirety. But generally speaking, you are going to get a lot of those early hit singles as well. So they aren't doing a lot of, or Brian's not doing a lot of deep cuts from the 70s, more popular amongst fans material. So
They could have changed the name to Smile. I would have taken that.
which Radiohead's spin-off project have done since. So yeah. There we go.
Jamie, over to you.
All right, I'm gonna do the Christmas past and Christmas present. I'm not gonna do Christmas of the future because we know the story, we know how that ends. So I'm gonna do the past here with a couple albums that I've had my whole life. These are the actual albums. When I was about 5 years old, we changed my name from Jamey to Jamie. And to the day my grandmother died in 1999, she always forgot which one. Grandma, it's been IE since I was 5. You keep changing. I changed it once in 1975. So I've had this album so long that my mom wrote my name on there, and it's EY. You can barely see it. This album is just your basic 50-cent album that you find at the thrift store. You go into the thrift store and you look for vinyl. they're gonna have any goodies, and you see that out front, you don't even go through it. You know it's gonna be crap, all crap. But this one is pretty special to me because I mean, you got Barbra Streisand, Johnny Mathis, Bing Crosby, Andy Williams, the old school people.
Yeah.
You got choirs on here singing though, and it's pretty terrible. I mean, just like Lawrence Welk style choirs, like the whitest people in the world. They got together with zero soul, and they said, "Sing Christmas," and you get these songs.
Yeah.
But the thing is with this album is it's the very first time right from this vinyl I ever heard Do You Hear What I Hear? We Need a Little Christmas, Frosty the Snowman, all Hark the Herald, Angels Sing, all those songs for the very first time were from this album. So everything I've heard since is a cover to me.
My parents had a ton of those albums.
Yeah, so I still have a bunch of my other
Yeah.
ones my mom has, are these cheapy things. This album is again, my mom bought this before I was born, this copy. She kept it in good shape because I still play it today. I was born in October of 69. I was listening to this without knowing it in December of 69. A lot of people say Bing Crosby is the voice of Christmas for them. Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. For me, it will always be Eddie Arnold. This album just screams Christmas. Now, he was kind of like a country guy back then. I've never heard an Eddie Arnold song. It's not a Christmas song. So I don't know what he does, but this album just brings me back, man. It's just magic.
When we're getting the ranking the albums Eddie Arnold special, that sounds like
that'll be
sounds like the least watched episode ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he's country. I don't know.
I think he was country, but it tended to be country with like a lot of strings.
Vocal.
Yeah,
like a vocal
kind of post-punk.
Not country as we think of it today. No.
Right, yes. And then present, I'm always buying new Christmas music. Every year I bought something new today. A few years ago, I got the Bad Religion Christmas album, and it's cool because it comes with a CD. For punk rock, it's pretty Christmassy. Murder by Death put out a Lonesome Holiday, and you'd be surprised how Christmassy this is for a band called Murder by Death. A couple years ago, I got a Holly Dolly Christmas by this is a fun album by Dolly Parton.
She's got a few, yeah.
Dolly Parton and Princess Leia and Linda Carter were my top three when I was like 6. So Neil Diamond put this out. He's put out quite a few Christmas albums before. This is everything he's done Christmas song wise on one double album. And just recently, a few weeks ago, I picked up the new Cher Christmas album. And is this the kind of album that you're going to put on when you're driving somewhere in your car and blast? No. But if you're having a Christmas party, hanging out, you put this on, you can't go wrong. The song she does with Cyndi Lauper, Put a Little Holiday in Your Heart, is worth the $11.98 that you pay for it on Amazon alone. There is one song she does with a guy named Tyga. I don't know who the hell that is, but he's a rap guy, and he raps for about 30 seconds. But he says right at the end, the last line of his rap, "Shake that thing like a snow globe." You can't hate that. You cannot hate that line. So it's a very fun album. A few of the songs she tries to do that Believe type pop
the vocal
in the Christmas music. Yeah, a lot of people will cringe on that, but hey, down here in Christmas Town with the wife when we're hanging out, got some drinks on it in us, and we put that on. It's fun.
It's fun. That's all this stuff is meant to be anyway, right?
Yeah.
All right, so how I kind of work this is in my first go round, I'm gonna show you 2 favorites that I've had since I was a kid. And then in my second go round, I'll have my 2 more recent meaning the last 30 years or close to it, right? So my first choice here drives my family crazy, but I don't care because I've been listening to this since I was probably like a year old. And Christmas with the Chipmunks never gets old for me, as silly as it is. I still have somewhere the original vinyl of this. And
there
it's
you go.
falling apart. There you go.
There you go.
There's multiple versions, right? But this, I mean, it's just funny stuff. Alvin, okay. I mean, it's just hilarious. Christmas song, Jingle Bells, Frosty the Snowman on here, White Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's all on here. It's all great. I used to have all the Chipmunks albums back in the day, and I love having all the Christmas stuff too. But everybody hates it. Everybody hates it here. It's like whenever I put it on, they're like,
Yep.
"Oh my God, that
Do
awful."
I play my copy ever? No.
No,
But I love the
no.
cover to display it.
Yeah, it just brings me back to when I was a kid. I love that stuff when I
Yes.
was a kid. And of course, growing up in an Italian household, you got to have Dean Martin.
There you go.
I absolutely love Dean Martin. I like Dean Martin's regular stuff. I like Dean Martin's Christmas stuff. It's just, you get that warm, comforting feeling sometimes with certain things and certain music. To me, the holidays just aren't the holidays with hearing a little bit of, Silver Bells. I mean, I love his voice. All the great songs are on here. It's fun. It's charming. It's Dean. I mean, I like the Frank Sinatra ones too, and I have them and I listen to them a lot, but I generally prefer Dean over Frank just by a little bit. I don't know why. They're both amazing. I love them both, but I just always felt a little closer to the music of Dean Martin and his voice. And yeah, so those are my first two.
Marshmallow World is a great song.
Does that
Yes.
have Rudy the Red-Beaked Reindeer?
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
all
It
right.
does.
Worth
Yeah,
the price
it's
of
all on
admission
here.
for that.
I've got
And
my
it's
love to
obviously
keep
on the
me
Die
warm.
Hard soundtrack, isn't it? Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Yep,
So.
yep. That kicks off the end. It's got Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, I'll Be Home for Christmas, Silver Bells, I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm, Winter Wonderland, Baby It's Cold Outside, Baby It's Cold Outside. Nobody likes that song now, right? All of a sudden that song is politically incorrect. Yeah, whatever.
A little rapey.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Blue Christmas, Jingle
Somebody
Bells.
did a version of it recently, though. I think it might be making a comeback.
Oh, I hope so, because it's a great song. Marshmallow World, Winter Wonderland, Rudy the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Silent Night, White Christmas. It's all here. All good stuff. I love it. Charming, charming stuff. So, all right, Scott, back to you.
But were you going to do Rick's or you do?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Hold on. Well, Rick's number one is Elvis's Christmas album, which is another one that I listen to here all the time. That's a great one. That's yeah. I mean, it's a joke here within the family, because I remember a number of years ago, we were listening to Christmas stuff on Spotify. My wife had her Spotify account on and just plays everything in a loop. And they must have played blue over and over and over again. And we're like, if we hear this song again, we're gonna go crazy. But the whole album is great. I mean, Elvis, that's a great pick by Rick. It's a really, really good one. And I mean, how many people here have that? Yeah,
I have two different Elvis.
Yeah, I've got
there's a
quite a
couple
few
of
different
them, so.
versions, and there's great stuff like Santa's Back in a Black Cadillac. I mean, it's not just that one song and then some spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
His 70s album, Elvis Sings the Wonderful World of Christmas, is a bit more traditional hymns.
Yes, this one's a compilation and taken, I think, from 3 different Christmas albums. From
Yeah, it did 2 and then
70s.
outtakes, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been repackaged so many times.
So many
Yeah,
times.
but there's the two. There's the Elvis Christmas album and Sings the Wonderful World of Christmas are the main original 2 albums, if you
Yeah, I
will.
have the first one. Yeah, that's the one I have. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Now, Scott, back to you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was originally going to talk about classic Christmas album by a certain king of rock and roll, but I came to find out that was already picked by someone else. No problem. I have others I can pick. Thanks, Rick. I tend to go pretty traditional on my Christmas music for the most part, so I don't have any metal or punk rock Christmas, anything like that. And most rock and pop artists, when they put out, they tend to put out maybe one Christmas song or something, but they're not a whole album usually. So I didn't have much rock to speak of. I did talk about Jethro Tull last year, about a year ago, and like I said, Elvis was spoken for. So I grew up hearing a lot of old school, even pre-rock singer interpretations of Christmas songs. Grew up on the classics: Bing Crosby, Andy Williams, Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, as well as the great Ella Fitzgerald.
Ah, you know.
And this is a twofer. I do tend to prefer the more melodic singers when it comes to Christmas music. And Ella was one of the great jazz singers of all time. And she knew her way around some holiday music. I actually have two here to talk about, and they display her versatility as a singer. And the first one, Ella Wishes You a Merry Christmas from 1960, features, I would say, the lighter, more secular Christmas songs with jazzy arrangements. And, this is maybe a little more her wheelhouse kind of sound. And she did an excellent job on these songs. It's a fun, festive set. You got Jingle Bells, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, What Are You Doing New Year's Eve, Sleigh Ride, which comes out in Elf, Christmas Song, Good Morning Blues, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Winter Wonderland, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, and White Christmas. Great album. And likewise, this one's pretty great too. Ella's other Christmas release, this one's simply titled Ella Fitzgerald's Christmas. And this one tends to focus more on the more religious theme Christmas songs, and has like orchestral arrangements, and she's back with the choir. And this one has Oh Holy Night, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Away in a Manger, Joy to the World, The First Noel, Silent Night, Oh Come All Ye Faithful, Sleep My Little Jesus, Angels We Have Heard on High, O Little Town of Bethlehem, We Three Kings, and God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. So both of them great sets. I'd highly recommend either one.
What year did that one come out, Scott?
This one's 1967.
So it was a bunch of years later. Okay.
Because this was like 7 years after the first one.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I haven't heard either one of those. Those sound really good.
Yeah, she just had a great voice, and
Yeah.
it's nice to hear her do these songs.
Cool. I might have to look into that one. That's cool. Davey.
Yeah, so this one's more on the fly, but it came from a conversation I had with someone in America this week, where I referenced a song here that you just would know it's played every single Christmas. And then when I read comments from on the YouTube page for the song, when I sent the link, it seems that there's a totally different type of Christmas music in the UK to the US. And we kind of touched on it in our group chat last night, where I said Christmas albums aren't really a thing here, but the Christmas #1 is the biggest deal in all of UK music. The Christmas #1 is for singles is just where you want to be at the end of the year. It's the #1 sales thing. And that goes back to the 70s, because the biggest chart battle, probably of all time, the most famous one, is when the one that I referenced, Slade, Merry Christmas Everybody, was fighting out with Wizard, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, for #1. And they got to, I think Slade won that one. Slade got to #1 and Wizard got to #2. And they both sold millions, absolutely millions. And from that point on, it became kind of de rigueur for everybody to release just a single. Even if they weren't a Christmas type band, they would just release one-off single. And then it's kind of snowballed year after year, where there's just become this massive catalogue of Christmas #1s and Christmas songs that they get played over and over. So do either one of those get any airplay in America at all, Slade or Wizard?
I've never heard the Slade
I heard the Slade in Pittsburgh back in the 80s, but I don't know if they still play it on the radio.
You would, and I'm not exaggerating, if you were going Christmas shopping, like Pete said, you would probably hear the Slade one 3 or 4 times every single time you did. Every single time.
I know Slade was huge in the UK, but they didn't get much traction over here.
No, not at all here. Yeah.
And then from
the best thing they're known for is "Come On, Feel the Noise," which was covered by Quiet Riot.
Yeah, and Quiet Riot did their other big one as well, didn't they?
Mama, We're All Crazy Now.
Mama, We're All Crazy Now. Yeah.
Oh,
They had
right.
that hit, Keep Your Hands Off My Power Supply. That album did okay here.
Yeah.
Runaway.
And I think the only reason it did, Jamie, is because that came out post the Quiet Riot cover.
Right.
But then it kind of led me down the rabbit hole of there's so many songs that I thought these must be Christmas staples everywhere because they are to anyone here. And then some of them apparently have done well in the US. Like apparently Last Christmas by Wham is
Yes.
popular. Fairy Tale of New York, The Pogues and Kirsty MacColl. That's going to be Christmas #1 this year because Shane MacGowan just died. That's been our favourite since it came out in the 80s. Boney M with Mary Boy's Child. 3 of the top 5 singles of the 70s were by Boney M in the UK. What the fuck? What were people smoking? Well, I know what they were smoking, but well. This one definitely made it in the US. Step Into Christmas by Elton John.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah. So this is me running down the top 20 UK favorites. 2000 Miles by the Pretenders, which I'd imagine must have because it's Chrissy Hind.
And that comes out on Learning to Crawl too. So
Paul McCartney, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas. Surely that made it just because it's Paul. Does that get played at all?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
oh boy, does it get played. Oh my God.
That is a retail store staple.
Yeah, so like all of these are like
I
you would
find
hear
that one kind of irritating, actually.
you would hear like these other ones like Slade and Wizards as much as you hear that, probably more so than you hear that one, to be honest.
Wow.
Merry Christmas Everyone by Shakin' Stevens. Don't need to look that up, folks. Don't need to bother. John Lennon's Happy Christmas War is over. Don't need to ask about that. The US version of the UK version of We Are the World was Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid, and that
is actually pre We Are the World.
Yes, because
that's what inspired the whole thing,
and that had so many stars on it that were already US stars anyway that it made it crossover regardless of being the UK one. The Power of Love by Frankie Goes to Hollywood is a Christmas favorite.
Wow.
And I've never understood why, because the lyrics are not Christmassy at all, but there's Christmas in the video, and that seems to be the only reason. But hey, I'm Walking in the Air by Aled Jones. I'm walking in the air. Now, we mentioned when Scott's picked how ubiquitous in the US the Charlie Brown Christmas special is. In the UK, we've got The Snowman, about a little boy who goes on an adventure with the snowman who comes to life. And because it's the UK, it has to have a really depressing ending. So he wakes up on Christmas Day and the snowman's melted, and that's the end. Yeah, Carburetor depression, bunch of
in our version, Frosty goes to the North Pole with Santa.
Well, that is all kind of orchestral and choral stuff. So it's very old fashioned, even though it came out in the 80s. And it was introduced by David Bowie, as if he's remembering a childhood memory. So it's got some cred to it as well. But it is annoying as fuck, to be honest. And one that definitely crossed. Speaking of Little Drummer Boy with Bing Crosby and David Bowie, probably the strangest mashup of two people. Yeah. David Bowie, right in the middle of his Heroes period, the Berlin period. David. So there's a good chance that after leaving Bing Crosby, he had lunch with Robert Fripp.
I had to wonder how that got set up.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah,
I mean, it works. I like it.
It was the time of holiday specials, as we know from Star Wars.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And then ones like Mike Oldfield's in Dolce Jubilo is played all the time as well. Slightly less so these days because it has a connection to a disgraced BBC television presenter. Although quite a lot of them are, to be honest. That doesn't narrow them down. David Essex, A Winter's Tale, In the Bleak Midwinter by Bert Jansch, Ring Out Solstice Bells, as mentioned by Jethro Tull. And then, although this isn't Christmas, it certainly is a good place to end the 20 that I found. Happy New Year by ABBA, which is one of my favorite ABBA songs, actually. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Love the composition from, I think, their last album, from was it on The Visitors? But yeah, so really a different scene in terms of musical hits entirely. So yeah, if people want some different Christmas music from those kind of pop stars, especially from the 70s period, then yeah, check out stuff like Slade and like Wizard. Greg Lake had a massive Christmas hit with I Believe in Father Christmas.
Yeah, they played that one. So yeah, so
I used to
I don't hear as often.
Yeah, still much to be discovered. So that's the kind of playlist that you'd get here, to be honest, more
That's,
than
I'm
anything.
glad you did that because I think that's pretty fascinating to see how different the popular songs are from
Yeah,
country.
and
Yeah.
you wouldn't hear Elvis, you wouldn't hear Peanuts, you wouldn't hear any of that stuff here, but you would
Yeah.
hear all of those ones every minute
According
of
to
every
the
bloody
car
day.
that drove by you, they're still playing Mariah Carey there.
Oh yeah, we still have those
Yeah, I didn't know
crossover
that.
ones. But like Dolly, we would never get Dolly here. Cher, that's not going to do anything here. But yeah, because
That Mariah Carey though, it's all I want from Christmas is you. Wasn't that on that Phil Spector thing you were talking about? That was an earlier song. It's a cover.
I thought that was the original.
Was it? It has that feel to it. It has that kind of sound, I think,
Yeah, I think
like
it's just a
maybe the
throwback.
Ronettes, somebody like that did it,
If you put some sleigh bells on something, it tends to just sound Phil Spector because he put them on non-Christmas stuff. So. Yeah, just a kind of alternate Christmas for people who want some
Cool.
other playlist choices for this time of year.
Awesome stuff. Cool. All right, Jamie.
All right. I don't know. I got like, I don't know if I have a lot of Christmas albums, but I do have over 100. I love Christmas time, and I was reminded something Davey said I couldn't remember. But if you YouTube Kmart Christmas music, there's a YouTube video out there of the playlist that the store played as you shopped in 1974. That type of music, and you listen to it, and you feel like a little kid going to the store with your mom at Christmas time. I would recommend just Googling or YouTubing that and listening for a bit. But I want to talk about rock and roll Christmas songs because, I mean, that's what we talk about mostly on this channel. And I've been in love with rock Christmas songs since the 80s. I always loved when December came around, our radio station, WDVE, would start playing the Bruce Springsteen, the Kinks, all that stuff. And I loved it. So I've made sure to get copies of all that stuff. And I got a lot of rock Christmas music, but it's scattered. So like you got to get Come Dancing with the Kinks to get Father Christmas. One of the ways to get it. There's not a Kinks Christmas song. One of my favorite Christmas songs ever is Father Christmas. Speaking of I Believe in Father Christmas, which is my favorite Christmas song ever, it is on Works, but it doesn't have the orchestration on Works. If you want the orchestra and choir, 20 some years ago, I downloaded it, but it is on this little EP single type thing here, where it has like a new version and it has a newer version, and the one with the orchestra and maybe the original without. No, it's just the orchestra and a newer version. But then one of my favorite Christmas songs ever is another Christmas song by Jethro Tull, but it's got to be the version on Rock Island. They re-recorded it for the Christmas album, and it just doesn't pack the same punch. Same goes with their song, Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow. That song peppers around. It's on the Christmas CD, but first time I heard it was on this box set that I bought in '88, and this is the version you want. So, oh God. And then you got, real quick, you got the very special Christmas albums, volume 1 to 100. I got the first 5, and you get Stevie Nicks, Bob Seger, you get Extreme with their only song I ever liked, their Christmas song. You get like Paul Young, Christmas Time Again is the Extreme song. And you just get like No Doubt and Sting and things like that as it goes along. Not everything's a winner. The first album is pretty solid. Everything else gets a little spotty. And then you have these Christmas, rock and roll Christmas and Christmas in the 80s. Now you get the Christmas is the Time to Say I Love You by Billy Squier, and Thank God It's Christmas by Queen, and all these little songs that you know but just aren't on one album. So what happens when you want to hear all these songs like George Thorogood is Rock and Roll Christmas, kind of annoying. The Waitresses, what's their song, Christmas Wrapping. So what I did many times over, back in 1989, I made this cassette here. There is quite the glare, isn't there?
Well, we saw Christmas '89 now, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas '89. And what I did was, I was in college, and it was my second year of college, and I made it fold out, and I had all my friends back then sign it. All my friends in 1989. So these are all the signatures of the 19-year-olds that I hung out with back then, because I knew it was something I would want to look back on. I also did it in 88, but I don't know where that one went. Then came 1993, and I made another tape, but this time I made the cassette into an ornament, and I spray painted it green, and I put caulk on there. And what I did in the back was I put a little hole, so when you hang it on the tree, you can put a light in the back, and the whole thing lights up. And then the cassette had all those songs, the Billy Squier, the U2, the Extreme, all that stuff. And then 2001 came along, and nobody's listening to tapes anymore. So I made this. I spray painted the front red, the back green. I put the hole there. And then when you put in a light, this little thing here is kind of like a star, and it looks like a star coming through the front. And then this had, all the it's the same rock and roll Christmas songs on each one. It just changes a little bit. And then in the same year, 2001, I was like, there's so much music that I have, I can't fit it on one CD. So I made a double one, and then drew little Santa Claus and put the song.
Is it just me, or is Jamie did a long line of work? Jamie should have done something totally different for a career.
I was just thinking there's an alternate reality where Jamie's a Bond villain. If you
and I'm going to destroy the world with Christmas.
Well, if you channeled your creativity into something, that wasn't Christmas ornaments from cassettes.
Be happy I'm Christmas and not taking over the world. And then you got the little mountain and the Christmas songs listed on CD2, which I spray painted red. And I also put a little caulk on the CDs to make it look like snow on the CD. But then one year, now this thing has seen better days, but then one year I said, you know what? The hell with it. I made this, which is a CD. That is the CD case. And then I glued this battery operated thing. I put the wire through the caulk, and then the Christmas tree used to light up, and you got the little caroler there, got a little fence there, and you got the snow on the ground, and then you open it up, and the CD of Christmas music is in there.
The words "go big or go home" are not lost on Jamie.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had this much time in my hands.
Oh, you got time? You watch a bazillion movies a bazillion times.
That's doing something.
So yes, I would say if you want those rock and roll songs that you always heard on the radio, this big 80s and a rock and roll Christmas is going to give you the bulk, and the first two very special Christmases, and you're ready to go. I told Pete, I sent him a card, and I said, you probably know these songs, you just don't have them in one place. So I burned him a CD and put all the essential ones on one CD for him.
And I'm anxiously awaiting that, and I will be playing that throughout the Christmas season over the next 2 weeks.
I need to track down those very special Christmases again. I had the first two on cassette way back in the day.
Not that expensive.
Those are long gone.
And I believe in Father Christmas, which is my favorite song. There is a version out there from maybe 17 years ago or so with Ian Anderson and Greg Lake in a church with like choirs on the side of them, and it gives me goosebumps. Ian Anderson doesn't sing, he plays the flute, and it just sounds so great.
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube of that. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, really cool.
That's cool.
Cool. That's some amazing stuff there, Jamie. Boy, the creativity. Very cool. All right, so like I said, my first two picks were old favorites, and then for my last one here, I decided to pick two that are more recent. Now, one I was going to talk about, but we've kind of hinted at it enough, and that's the Jethro Tull Christmas album, which I really like a lot. So I won't talk about that. And instead, I'm going to talk about one, which again is another one of those Christmas albums that I think I like way more than anybody else here does. But if you live in this area in New York in the Hudson Valley, most people I know who are into rock music love this album. partly because the guitar player in the band is a local guy. He's an old friend of mine. And it's the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Christmas Eve and Other Stories. They have a bunch of albums. The first one is still the best to me. Uh, Again, this band, this project came from the ashes of Sabotage. I'm a big Sabotage fan. This is good because it kind of like it hits on the rock part of me. It wants to hear some rock music and holiday music. It's grandiose. It's majestic. I mean, who doesn't love Christmas Eve Sarajevo 1224? You know, then it's done so well. But everything else is good on here. The vocals are great. The instrumentation is great. It rocks. It's you know, hits on the traditional aspect of what we love about Christmas music. And it's mostly instrumental too, even though the vocal pieces are spectacular. And I've had the pleasure of seeing TSO live about 3 or 4 times, and this never gets old. Whether I'm listening to it at home or I go see them perform it live on stage, it's an event. So for me, Christmas time over the last 25 years or so isn't the same without TSO, especially this album. I have to have it. So there's that one. And folks might laugh at this one. You know, it goes back to Jamie, like was saying how he likes to hear like rock stuff, you know, Christmas classics and originals done in a rock style. And I get a kick out of the Lynyrd Skynyrd Christmas album. It's just, you know, it's rednecky fun and Southern rock style. I mean, the originals are hilarious. The classics are done really, really well. They invite me. This guy's from 38 Special on here. Charlie Daniels is on here. It's just, you know, Santa's Messing with the Kid is so much fun. This Green Sleeves is on here. They do Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Run, Run, Rudolph. I mean, it's all really fun. Johnny Van Zant sounds great on it. There's ripping guitars all through the whole thing, but it's meant to be fun. It's not, this is not something I put on to hear serious Christmas stuff. That I have other things for, but yeah, this is a blast. And I do want to give a shout out because we just lost him recently. And the Tony Bennett Christmas album from God, when did this come out? The early 90s. This is tremendous. This is tremendous. So again, Tony, another one of those old Italian crooners that yeah, you gotta love Tony, right? So yeah, that's another
First
favorite.
Tony Bennett I ever heard was Christmas music. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I grew up growing up in an Italian household. Sinatra, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, Louis Prima, all that stuff was constantly played, so you couldn't escape it. So it's kind of part of my DNA to listen to the old Italian crooners around the holidays or anytime really. It's just so it's really special to me.
I'm not Italian and I like them. I like them anyway.
Yeah, you don't have to be, right? Yeah, that's the thing. But I think for us Italians from New York, there's something about those guys that just every household listens to that stuff.
Yeah, you'll be excommunicated if you don't like it.
Oh yeah, right. It's like what?
You'll be shunned.
Just yesterday, I got James Brown Christmas album for $5.
Oh, nice.
I got to tell you, this rocks, man. And the song I bought it for Santa Claus Go to the Ghetto is a great song on a red CD.
Very cool.
And nobody mentioned this one, but this is another one also, talking about the Charlie Brown Christmas, Scott. This is another one that I grew up always hearing. My parents had it, my grandparents had it, but I never owned it personally until a couple of years ago. And that's the Nat King Cole Christmas album.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Amazing, absolutely amazing stuff.
I have
talk about this
a lot of different artists, but
we could talk about it all day,
but I don't have that particular one, and I need to do that.
Just so everybody knows, before we recorded this episode, we figured that this would be really quick, a quick little fun episode, and then already we're at an hour, and it's like, and we still want to keep talking about it, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, I got all kinds of displayed there. I'm not going to go into it.
So Rick's other picks is the Rod Stewart "Merry Christmas Baby" album, which I don't think I've ever heard, and Sheryl Crow "Home for Christmas." And he also mentioned the Beach Boys Christmas with the Beach Boys as well. So yeah,
I don't like Rod Stewart doing the American songbook stuff. So if it's in that style, I don't think I'd like it.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, it's very I don't know, it was very cynical of him to do that. He did like 7-8 albums like that.
Yeah.
He's doing another one.
Well, part of the reason I heard he went in that direction is his voice. He just couldn't do the rock stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they sold more than his last 5 albums put together. I think that's more the reason why he stuck with it, to be honest.
Maybe so. I mean, it did sell well for him.
Another thing too, like my mother, who's 81 years old, loves those albums. never
Yeah.
listened to Rod Stewart in her life before then. So I think that those type of albums from him are appealing to a totally different demographic.
Yep, the
Well,
people
God
that buy
bless.
one album a year. You know, it's that those type of albums, the ones that you see in pound shops all the time, dollar stores, I guess, are the type that the casual fans make into massive, massive successes because they only buy one a year, but all of the casuals buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they get tired of it and drop it off at a thrift store.
Yep. Then it becomes July, and they wonder why there's a Christmas
That's
album
why it's hard to
sitting.
find good stuff in the thrift store.
Yeah. So there you have it, everybody. Fun little discussion about our holiday favorites. So I guess the companion video of this, if you care to go watch it, we did a episode on the UK connection a couple of years ago, talking about especially those two guys, Simon and Stephen, talking about how much they dislike holiday music. So there's that episode from a couple of years ago you can go check out. But here it's all about the love here on this particular one. So ironically, Davey had a lot of really positive things to say about Christmas music, but Simon and Stephen are kind of like bah humbug.
Oh yeah,
They're
you got
always
Louis
bah humbugs.
Nasser who hates Christmas. Aloe hates the
I wouldn't
holiday.
even go there with Lewis.
Guys need to lighten the fuck up.
We have some Grinches on this channel. I know we do.
Oh my god! Don't think
Yeah.
too much about it. Just have some
fun
Just
for
have
a
some
day or two.
drinks and a good cheer, and come on, man.
Yeah, it's
Not
it's a
everybody's
fun time.
into it. That's just the way it goes, right? So
And also tune in for the Monsters Den this week for a ranking of the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise.
that's right. That's right. I will say, not to give too much away, some of those later films are a little bit more enjoyable than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say a couple of them I enjoyed more than I expected.
Yes, yes. I don't want to derail this conversation because we're going to have it on the Monsters Den, but I think some of those films being a part of the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise don't make a hell of a lot of sense, but I've enjoyed them way more than I thought I would because I was only familiar with the first two before we started watching all of these. So yeah, anyway, I'll shut up about that. More to come on that on the Monsters Den on Thursday.
I'm the odd man out on this one.
Not a fan, Scott?
I'm just not even a big slasher movie guy. I mean, there's
Okay,
a few,
yeah.
but I don't watch a lot of them.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
for those who are, tune in Thursday night to the Monsters Den. We will be ranking the Silent Night, Deadly Night films. So
Yeah, thanks for the plug there, Scott. You should. Oh, I love the Monsters Den. All those slasher
I
ones
love
are
Monsters
great,
Den.
yeah.
It just depends on what you guys are discussing. If it's a slasher movie thing, I probably won't be watching. But
okay.
I won't be watching this week.
you
So
guys
thanks for
talk
watching,
about
everybody.
Hammer, I'm all in. You talk about Batman, I'm all in. Planet of the Apes,
All the classic stuff, yeah. The
Universal horror,
We love that too. We
all
love
in on
all
that
that
stuff.
So,
All right.
so everybody down below in the comments, list your favorite holiday albums, play along, right? And we'll see you next month back here post New Year's for our first episode of 2024. And hopefully we're getting some good Christmas gifts and money and buying ourselves some cool stuff. And we'll see what we come up with, right? So till then, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button. Thanks for watching us here on The Curse of the Collector, because, of course, this curse is very real. Very real. So for Rick Labonte in Aruba, Jamie Laszlo, Davey Gallagher, and Scott Berry, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching us here on The Curse, and we'll see you here next month. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.